this time, I know Mr. Anthony Landreth is here and got a few words he'd like to say, and it had to do with the wildlife. But I'll bring him up. And if there's a microphone right back there, Anthony, if you want to grab it, that way everybody can hear you.
Yes, my name's Anthony Landreth, and y'all showed something a while ago that really touched me. I'm the host of the Southern Woods and Water radio show, and I'm also co-host of the Southern Woods and Water TV show in Nashville. And I've been filling in for Hugh in Nashville ever since Hugh got sick, Hugh McNaughton. And every Monday night, he would be on the radio station, and I just want to say it meant a lot to me for y'all to recognize Hugh a while ago. There's not a bigger ambassador in the state of Tennessee than Hugh McNaughton was. I'm just going to tell you. And I mean, he was so involved in wanting to get the kids into hunting. And as we all know, we're getting older. If our younger generation don't come along, everything we know and love in outdoors, it's going to die off. And, none of us want that. I can't even fathom not sharing my life. I retired 13 years ago, and it's probably not another person in the state of Tennessee that's in the woods or on the water as much as I am, because it's almost every day. And thank God my wife don't mind me doing it, because I love it. But, I want to extend, the invitation to the commission, to TWRA, to come be on our show anytime. James Kelly, Chuck Yost, Bubba and Amy, Jeremy Dennison, they've been on our show 2 or 3 times. But our doors are always open because, we feel like we're an avenue to get the word out to everybody in the state of Tennessee. But I just want to thank y'all for recognizing Hugh, and I really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you, Anthony. This time I'm going to ask Lieutenant Colonel Moates to come on up. This next part, this is a rulemaking hearing before the Tennessee Fish and Wildlife Commission to consider amending Rule 1660-02-07-22, governing the operation of vessels specifically pertaining to expanding the slow no-wake zone on Kentucky Lake. My name is Kurt Holbert. I'm the chairman of the Tennessee Fish and Wildlife Commission. I will be conducting this rulemaking hearing. Moates.
Yeah, I can give a brief explanation, Chairman. So this is the rule as it is currently. You can read that. If you'll take note of the last phrase there, from May 1st until the Saturday after Labor Day, the only change that we're asking for is to remove that, which would effectively make this zone year-round. I do have a slide, if you're not familiar with the area. You can see here, this is Beach River that comes off the Tennessee, that flows into the Kentucky Lake. The zone is currently right here, and these are the boundaries of the zone. Take note also, we have an agency ramp at this location, and we can mark this agency access area as no wake with a current rule. It's our public facilities rule. So it will, in effect, also be marked as such and be regulated. So,
thank you. Do I hear a motion? So moved. Hear a second? Second. Any discussion or questions? This is not whole commission. Commissioner Gardner.
Yeah. So when you say you're going to designate the area around the boat ramp as no wake, are you going to extend that line that now shows up over the bridge to back on the other side of the boat ramp area, or is that just going to be a smaller no wake area right there?
I haven't seen how. I don't know that it's been marked yet. I've asked Region 1 to do. Do you have that?
I've seen it marked.
Okay.
The marker is right there in the. Would be on the south side in the bend of the river before it goes to the bridge. Then so it is extended right where that Beach River turns back south there.
All right, that's all I got.
Okay.
Any other questions? Any discussion from the public or comment? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move right on into budget. We're going to do this as a full commission vote today. And I'm going to call on our fisheries chief, Frank Fiss. Frank, go ahead and present both of them, and
I will do.
we'll be voting on them as one.
Somebody doing this slide work? Okay. Okay, we have two budget requests today. Both are expansions for FY20. First is to put 13,000 into budget 3321 to fix a roof on Catoosa WMA where our stream workshop is. And these funds would come from the Wetland Fund since it's on state property. The second request we have is to add 51,000 to the Asian Carp Harvest Incentive Program. And these funds were donated by the Tennessee Valley Authority. It was towards the end of their year, and they wanted to participate in this program. So we were happy to take those dollars, and it turns out that will be very important as we go into this year because there's a lot more demand for carp than we would have predicted a year and a half ago at this time. Let me show you what we've been experiencing in the carp harvest game here. Since the program started in September, in good months, the fishermen were hitting about 150,000 pounds a month up till May, and then in June, the market for the lobster bait started up, and since then, because of that extra effort, and the addition of an additional contractor, we've been up to 300,000 pounds a month. So our original program was designed for half this harvest. So we needed to add funding to be able to cover this projected harvest for the FY20. So this hash bar area, that stacked graph there on the far left or far right is what we think is going to happen this year. 4 million pounds are going to come out through the ACHIP program. And we have funding to cover all of that now. We had the original 250,000 that was budgeted for the year. We added an additional 150,000 out of the Wetland Fund to make sure we didn't run out of money in this coming year. And the additional money from TVA on top of that will help us to be able to not only provide the incentive, but also be able to provide the nets as we do as part of this program. So that's where we're at on that. And right now we're just asking for an approval for the FY20 51,000 from TVA.
Okay, I'm gonna call on our budget chairman, Commissioner Sanders.
Mr. Chairman, as chairman of the Budget Committee, I make a motion that these two expansions be passed.
Do I hear a second? Any discussion from any commissioner? This is a full commission vote. Any comment from the public? I have one. Please state your name if you would when.
I'm Dale Robertson. I'm one of the third ACHIP buyer. If we could earmark some of this money for the small, on Kentucky Lake, there is a tremendous amount that are too small for me to feasibly buy them. I could do over 200,000 pounds a month through my market if I had just a little bit more money on the small ones, the 7 pound down. I'd just like to consider that with this money here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, David. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to call on our Environmental Services Chief, Dave McKinney.
Thank you, Chairman Holbert and Committee Chairman Sanders. We've got 5 budget expansions for you to consider today. 4 of them are all federal dollars. The other one is a private source of funds that we'll talk a little bit about. Well, I don't know how to go back on this one. The first one is budget 1896. We'd like to expand that budget in the amount of $7,000. This is money for aquatics research, including the alligator snapping turtle that we heard something about yesterday on the Wolf River. An expansion in the amount of $7,000. The second expansion is for budget number 7660, and it is money from the feds to continue our research into white nose syndrome. That is an issue that is still of tremendous importance to the state of Tennessee and especially to our agricultural interests. So we would appreciate expanding that budget to take advantage of federal money to continue that research. 7741, this is the one that is private funding. In about '05, the agency intervened in the relicensing of Alcoa's dams on the Little Tennessee River system. These dams are administered by the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, as opposed to most in Tennessee, which are either Corps or TVA. We intervened in that relicensing in part to try to protect 10,000 acres of land that sits at the heart of between the South Cherokee, the Great Smoky Mountain National Park, and the Nantahala Forest. As a result of that intervention, the relicensing that was approved had a settlement agreement in it. One of the components of that was to put all of that land into public interest. It either went to the U.S. Forest Service, into the Cherokee, it went into the National Park in the Smokies, that which was within the original boundary of the park. The agency took a small piece of land that is now in our WMA at the foothills. So we were more than pleased to protect that property for the public interest. The other part was to set up a fund which brings about $110,000 a year over the 40 years of that license to put work on the ground in the Little Tennessee River drainage in Tennessee. That fund is overseen by the board made up of the interveners, which were the National Park Service, TWRA, the Forest Service, Tennessee Clean Water Network, and American Rivers. And so they issue grants every year. Over the term of the license, we anticipate we'll put about $6 million worth of work on the ground in the Little Tennessee River drainage. So would appreciate your, that is now Brookfield Energy, by the way. They sold all of Topoco, was sold by Alcoa several years ago. Have two expansions that go to the Cumberland River Aquatic Center. This expansion is grant money from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to do propagation work for listed mussels and freshwater fish, including the crackly pearling mussel and the blue-masked darter. And we have been very successful in that. I want to tell you that propagating the crackling pearly mussel is something that no one in the country has had success with, and we've got several thousand of them growing at Gallatin right now. So we are tremendously pleased with that project. The other expansion is for $171,000. This comes from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and it is related to the work they had to do at Wolf River. At Wolf Creek Dam on the Cumberland River. Years ago, some years ago, they had a project to stabilize that dam, and they had to do mitigation in the Cumberland system. And this is the last of that money, is for propagation of mussels and fish primarily for the Cumberland system. And your consideration of those expansions would be greatly appreciated.
Thank you, Dave. Commissioner Sanders?
Mr. Chairman, as chairman of the Budget Committee, I make a motion that these 5 expansions be approved.
Thank you. We got a second from Commissioner McLerran to that. Any discussion on any of the 5 budget expansions? Any comments from the public? If not, all in favor of the 5 budget expansions for environmental services, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion carried. Thank you, Dave.
Much appreciated.
I'd like to call on Mr. Tim Churchill.
Thank you, Commissioner Holbert and Commissioners. I have only one expansion request today for this year's budget. This would be budget code 6623, $42,000 to assist in this land acquisition that we are still working on. The portions on this map that are in blue were fee components of this property that we added to Skinner Mountain WMA in the last year or so. The red portions will be conservation easement, which will include hunting rights and of course conservation for a variety of species, particularly bats that live in that area. It will be a working forest, but to get those forestry plans, we need some funding to work with TCF, the Conservation Fund, to get those documents drafted. So that is my request.
All right, thanks, Tim. Commissioner Sanders?
Mr. Chairman, as Budget Chairman, I make a motion that these be passed, or this be passed.
The second from Commissioner King. Any discussion from commissioners? Any comment from the public? If not, all in favor of budget expansion 6623 for the amount of $42,000, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion carried. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
We'll call on Ken Tarkington.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In your book, iPad, or whatever you have and are looking at, there should be a 3-page financial report. I'm reporting through the month of August with the exception of the earnings on the investment, which will be through September. At the top of the first page, the boating fund through August is approximately 74% above where we were at the same point in time last year. That seems like it's really good, and it is. I think that when we look at it, there were some deposits from the prior year that had not yet been transferred to boating. There is a slight increase, and should be an increase because of the boating fee increase that occurred this fiscal year. The middle of the page, the Wildlife Fund, it's approximately 5.4% lower than projections for this year. Again, we're still early in the year, so I would presume that would pick up as we continue. On the expenditures for wildlife, we're currently at 10% of the allotment for the year. I failed to mention the expense on the boating fund. It's at the same 10% of the allotment. At the bottom of the page, the 2 endowments, the 2 permanent accounts. First, the watchable wildlife, we have a balance a little over $7 million with $23,000 that's available to transfer to the Wildlife Fund. And the lifetime endowment, lifetime license, we have a balance $57,500,000. On the second page, the wetlands, wetlands acquisition, we currently have a $17,300,000 balance. We've zeroed the maintenance out as we usually do. And the compensation, which is the in lieu of tax fund, is at $438,000. The last page is the position on our investment or investments of the 4 funds that we have. And this is through September, and it's 0.9 of 1% increase for that 1 month. Almost a 9% increase since the inception back in 2015. Any questions or comments?
Questions?
Thank you.
You know, Ken, hold on just a minute now. Commissioner Cox has already, or former Commissioner Cox has already left, I guess, but since he's gone, you getting off really easy. He always.
Thank you, sir. I've always appreciated that from you.
He always had a question for you, and I just hate you're not getting any questions, but we'll try to do better and honor his, you know, his
I'm sure you will.
passing. So anyway, but no, seriously, thanks for all you do. You're one of those guys
Yes.
that a lot of times are behind the scenes and got one of the toughest jobs around that I would not want, and probably other than Commissioner Sanders up here, none of us want to mess with numbers either. So, but anyway, thank you for all you do.
Thank you,
I mean
sir.
that.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
before we adjourn, if I may, the gentleman right there that was talking about, and just give me a couple of seconds here if you don't mind, but you were talking about your catch or that you're purchasing and that kind of stuff, and then you said the under 7 pounds. Is there, my ignorance, I'm so sorry, is there a percentage of big fish and little fish? Would you mind just answering that question? Because I got a little confused and we passed that.
On Barkley Lake and the Cumberland River, near about all of them will be above 7 pounds. But there are so many on Kentucky Lake fishing the same mesh size,
Right.
probably 60% of them are under the size.
60%.
And if I drop back to that's on 3.5 inch mesh. If I drop back to 3 and 3 1/4, I put out one 300 yard, 3 1/4, and had over 1,000 pound out of it in Beaver Dam Creek.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a tremendous amount of small ones. The state of Kentucky pays like double on their bounty or whatever you call it, because they realize there's a problem and nobody's going to fish for 10-cent fish. And I can't buy them for 20 cents and sell them for
Right.
10 cents and get 10 cents from y'all, and it costs me 4 cents to haul them to Wycliffe.
Gotcha.
I mean, I want those fish out of there, and I'm not, the least amount of money I could get, anything that would make it feasible, because I am making money off the big ones, you know.
Yeah.
Probably, I done 100,000 pound last month, and as of the 15th, I'd done nearly 100,000 pound already, and a lot of those were small. So if I could get a little bit, I mean, I'm the type of person, I hate to,
No, what do you
look
want?
greedy.
What do you want? What are you saying? What do you want? What are you talking
if
about?
I could get 5 cents a pound on that, under that, you know, the 7 pound down, I'd make a penny a pound on them, because I am making money off the other ones.
Right.
But it would remove those fish from because it's coming. I mean, that's why I quit. I was the first one to harvest these Asian carp 7, 8, 10 years ago. And when they got down to where they were all small, they either went for 8 cents, they were either bone meal or
Right.
fertilizer, and there's no money in that.
Gotcha.
You know, I could catch them and sell them that and make money, but I can't buy them, you
Right.
know, to effectively affect the
Well,
problem we're addressing.
I appreciate the information because we all right here, we want to get rid of the daggum things. One,
I do too.
but we want you to make a living also, but I was just a little confused. Frank, I don't mean to elongate this thing, but if you want to. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Yes, the current ACHIP program is all fish that are all Asian carp that are caught are eligible for the program. And we do have other contractors that are making a living and making some profit, I assume, because they're growing that side of their business with these small fish that are going to the bait. So I don't see what would need to change if we have
but
two out of the 3 making it. I understand there may be some more shifting to do to make the money right for this contractor, but right now we have the incentive program was to incentivize people to get in the business and enlarge their business in carp. And I think we're doing that, and we're seeing it even on the small fish.
Great. Thank you, Frank, and guys, thank you for bearing with me.
Okay, Commissioner Gardner?
Yeah, I'd just like to comment and thank everybody that had a role in getting the Shelby Forest boat ramp up and running. I talked to my father last week. He keeps me regularly updated, and I go see it every time I'm in town. But it is open now, and much to the duck hunters' delight and many commercial fishermen who use that area. It was hard to access it because you either got to put in at Memphis or way up in Tipton County, and losing that middle boat ramp was really crucial and a big boon for Middleton, which is my hometown. So thank y'all very much, and I'm glad that TDEC got it done, and I thank the TWRA and our commission for having the foresight to get the money that helped TDEC get it done. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Gardner. Commissioner Box?
Just like to recognize Officer Daniel Stanfield. If you hear, we had, he has gone to a lot of trouble to get a hunter's ed class set up for, we had requested our school at USACE to have a hunter's ed class, and they had never had that before, and we pulling teeth, but we got it done, and he was a huge help, and the kids and families were very excited, and he really did a lot of work and helped me get that set up. So I just want to say thank you again, and
He's way back in the back.
oh, I can see you back there. Okay. Thank you so much for everything. Bring it up?
No, I said it's up to you.
Okay, I add one more comment. Along with the Hunter's Ed, we have recently started a clay target team at USJ, and it's very new. It's just a few weeks old. So we're very excited about having the opportunity here at Lone Oaks for the shooting facility coming up. And I know there's 20-plus teams in Memphis. There's 20-plus teams in Memphis, and statewide they're going to be using this. So I'm very excited to be there and be able to access this for the kids. And it's just great. It's amazing. So I'm thankful for this facility.
Commissioner McLerran?
I know they've been mentioned already, but the group of young folks from UT Martin that have showed up here today and stuck it through this whole meeting, and they're still here. They're a fine group of young folks, and that's the future of this organization. It's the future of our sport and our environment. So thank you guys for coming out.
Commissioner Granberry?
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Holbert. You know, I know Commissioner Stroud works very hard on the retention and the recruitment with Jennifer and the rest of the staff, but in 2013, at Martin Methodist, where I serve on the board, we started a clay trap team, and I'm very proud to report, as of October 21st of 2019, the Martin kids, under the leadership of Coach Whittingberg, have been 4-time national champions. So the point is that if you make it available to these kids, whatever they're doing, and they enjoy it, they'll continue to do it. And when they reap the success that this team has had, it just makes more kids want to get involved. And the retention part of it is 53% of the kids that go to Martin are first-timers, and we have a horrible rate of retention. But this is just one way to make them, you can't be on the team unless you're in the school. So now they're wanting to stay on the team, so they're staying in school. So it's one, they're getting out in the woods, they're enjoying the sport, but B, they're getting an education and staying in school. So it's a really, and then when you have programs like here where we have available facilities for them to participate, it does make a difference, is my point. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Granberry. Any other commissioners? Director Carter? Right, no meeting in November? Any comments from the public? Once again, thank you to the Lone Oak staff. Thank you to Ms. Lisa Holmes again, Amy, all the ones that worked so hard to make this happen here in Region 1. Great facility, one of a kind. February. Yes, I will, after the meeting. Yep. All right, any other discussion? If the commissioners hang around just a second, I've got just some plans for the February meeting I need to discuss for you. All right, we're adjourned.